for the largest pure play security company.
Okay, thank you, Michael. You'll tell us more about Checkpoint in just a bit. Philip, I don't know whether Philip has joined us. Philip Iroda from ICT Authority.
Sorry.
Hi, Philip. Hi, Philip. We're not able to hear you. Okay, as Philip is Martin Mirror, you're back?
Yes, I am, Jane. Apologies for that. Hi, everyone. Yeah, that's a little gremlin. Lost power to my computer. Yeah, the perfect timing. Yeah, so thanks for having me here, Jen. The great team. So I direct ICT at Huduma Kenya, as Jen indicated. At Huduma Kenya, for those of us who may not be familiar with it, is actually the secretariat that is charged with running the Huduma centers, amongst other citizen service channels. And we do make very heavy use of technology to deliver services to citizens. And so, I mean, so excited to be here, and looking forward to the deliberations. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you so much. Philip is having a bit of an issue with his mic. I hope that has been fixed. But Philip, hi, Philip.
Hi, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning.
Pleasure to meet all of you here. It's Philip Rode. I work for the ICT Authority, a government agency under the Ministry of ICT, and I'm responsible for the information security aspect of the authority. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip, so much. Now, our last panelist today is Bernard Wekesa from the Public Service Commission. Hi, Bernard.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Bernard. How are you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. I can hear you.
Thank you. My name is Bernard Bongo Wekesa from the Public Service Commission, in charge of information security at the Commission and the Public Service, with other colleagues of mine. And I'm delighted to be here as a public service. We look forward to sharing what we do in the public service. So I think I'll introduce that to the panel, to the those who will be attending. So thank you very much, and I look forward for a fruitful discussion to this program.
Thank you, Bernard. Thank you so much. Now, this month, this is the final webinar for marking this Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And this year, the theme of the Cybersecurity Awareness Month was Do Your Part. Be cyber smart, do your part. And the global call was to empower all the constituents in the cybersecurity value chain for us to be able to own our role in the space that we're in. So be it in your personal space, in social media, or in organizations, or even in e-government, what is my part? What is my role? I know Kenyans, we have this thing of we like saying serikali tusaidie, and sort of this cybersecurity awareness month was turning it on its head and saying, we want to empower you to be able to secure your role, your part of cyberspace. So whether you're a parent, we had a very nice webinar on child online protection, or now whether it is accessing government services, how do you own your part? And today's panel, from Huduma to KE-CIRT to all these other panelists to Public Service Commission, we are looking at then how can we all work together to secure our cyberspace as Kenyans. Now, when we talk about e-government and provision of government services online, Philip, hi Philip. The conversation more or less always starts with the ICT Authority. So Philip, I'll start with you and ask you, in terms of the role and mandate of ICT Authority, how and knowing that ICT Authority hosts e-citizen portal, how have you then tried to empower Kenyans or to do your role to ensure that the services that are being offered, the government services that are being offered online, are accessible, are efficient, and are secure? Philip.
Thank you so very much. And just to start, I think the area you've mentioned actually is one of our mandates, which is basically to to promote e-government services, which is actually our mandate number 5. And then, of course, to establish and develop and maintain secure ICT infrastructure and systems. Where I would actually start from basically the infrastructure part of it, and then, of course, the supporting cross-cutting issue of cybersecurity. As ICT Authority, we are actually responsible for ensuring that MDAs, which is basically ministries, departments, and agencies, have accessibility. There is something called the Go Government Central Network, which is basically GCCN. And this, we ensure actually connectivity reaches all agencies from where they are, whether it's the counties or from the metropole, which is within Nairobi. When it comes to ensuring that the aspects of security are provided, we'll first of all want to appreciate that security can never be a state, it's a process. We've been working on this for the past, I think, ever since I joined the institution. And so far, we have tried to provide what I would call perimeter security for GCCN, which was previously missing. And this is basically to ensure that the traffic that is coming into our agencies has been, filtered of basically what I call blacklist. There are also hostile IPs. There are also traffic that basically, hostile traffic. As we try and ensure the aspect of perimeter is addressed, we're moving into the hosting of the applications. We've also had initiatives to address the hosting, and also, which is the most important, the aspect of user awareness. You realize that is also one of the critical roles as it comes to the users who are always interacting with these systems. I think as we proceed with the webinar, we'll be able to break it down into what are the nitty-gritty activities that we do to ensure this is achieved.
Accessibility and how and user awareness, those 3 things: infrastructure, accessibility, and user awareness. Now, whatever we are going to look then, how then when you have then this infrastructure and we're saying that we have accessibility and we're talking about accessibility all over the country, right, Philip? Then the services then that are pegged on this, Martin, when it comes to then to providing services on Huduma, right? How then do you ensure that Kenyans are able to access these services and are able to access these services securely once the infrastructure has been put in place and once the accessibility has been put in place by ICTA? Martin Mirero.
Yeah, thanks, Jane. So I think that's a very pertinent question. And maybe just speaking of point from Philip with regard to the core infrastructure being in place, our mandate as Huduma Kenya is really to unlock the services that different government agencies offer and make them available on a uniform platform, in a standardized way, in a very convenient way for citizens in the one-stop shops that we know as Huduma centers. So we recognized very early on that to do this in a sustainable way, we needed to leverage technology. That was a key pillar. Thankfully, with the effort through, as Philip mentioned, ICTA had laid out the core infrastructure connecting all government agencies we've then at least had that starting point. So we have designed our infrastructure with security, as a first principle. So all our traffic that is, connecting the different government agencies' back office systems is over secure channels, over virtual private network. The officers that are delivering these services at the centers access their systems through virtual desktops, which minimizes the opportunity to inject any suspicious content or extract any information from the system. So all access to the government agencies is very secure, very secure infrastructure. Now, of course, as Philip alluded to, there's a big education component whenever it comes to security. So as part of the onboarding of all the officers that offer these services, security is something that is at the core of that's at the core of the education and training, and also because even while you leverage and invest in technologies for security, you also need to take care of the people, the people aspect. Yeah, so that's, I think, in a nutshell, how we ensure security. Maybe later on we can talk about some of these publicly accessible services, like on our digital channels. Yeah. Thank you. Jane?
About told us about the infrastructure, about the ability, and and we're saying they are integrating all these services so that they can enhance service delivery to the consumers. Now, then my next question will be to Michael Musime from Checkpoint. Hi, Michael. Can you hear me? I hope we've not lost you.
Yes, I can.
Hi, Michael.
I can.
I'd like has told us I'd like to see a picture about the cyber threat landscape.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you just said. Please repeat.
Are you able to give us of what the
Sorry, I beg your pardon? Is it my connection?
Yeah, Michael, I think we've got a slight challenge getting Jane clearly.
Yeah, Jane, I didn't hear your question.
I think we lost Jen.
Yeah, I think we have a small technical issue, but give us a minute. We are fixing it. We'll get back in a minute.
Hello, am I back? Hi.
Yes,
Can hear you now.
Sorry, I'm so
Yes,
sorry.
yes, Jane, we can hear you. Yeah.
So, Michael, I'd like you to paint for us a picture of how the cyber threat landscape with regards to e-government services is. Seeing that Philip has told us that they're looking at infrastructure, accessibility, and user awareness, and we've seen Martin tell us about integration of these various government services to ensure that consumers have access to these services. Now, from your point, from the threat landscape, please paint us a picture of how this landscape is from the checkpoint perspective.
Well, I mean, now we have to look at different vectors of attack. Looking at the infrastructure alone is not enough. 78% of attacks in Kenya this year have been through email phishing campaigns. Mobile attacks are also on the increase, but we don't see consumption of mobile security. It's an afterthought. Your mobile phone is on 24/7, connected to the internet 24/7, but most people have no security for the mobile phone and then have it for a laptop or a desktop that's not even on for more than 10 hours. So we need to look at security from a multifaceted approach, and also because now remote working has become the new norm, we need to try and figure out how to protect the remote workers.
Yes. Thank you, Michael. Hi, sorry. Sorry, we seem to have a small, what's it called, connectivity problem. So now, we are seeing a lot of phishing, and we're seeing, and ICTA is telling us that Philip has told us that they're carrying out user awareness, they are dealing with issues of accessibility. So my next question then goes to, because cybersecurity, it's about people, it's about processes, it's about technologies. And at the technologies and the infrastructure level, we have the ICT authority then taking very good care of that and ensuring that we have accessibility and putting in place the protection mechanisms to secure e-government services. Now, what about the people? And the people is usually the weakest link, so to speak. So my next question goes to Bernard. Hi, Bernard.
Hello, Jen.
Hi, how are you? Now,
Fine, thank you, Jen.
Okay. The ICT authority infrastructure is there, that the accessibility is there, that the user awareness is there. We are seeing Checkpoint telling us that these are the threats that they are seeing in the government sector, right? Then what are we doing in regards to the people? Are the people who are behind, who are providing these services online, how ready are they? How cyber ready are they? And how resilient? What are we doing as a Public Service Commission to ensure that the people who are offering these services now digitally are also digitally aware and they're also digitally ready?
Thank you, Jen. As a commission, we leverage on ICT for the provision of services for the operation of the public service in the entire public service. We realize that, first of all, the commission in its strategic plan 2019 to 2024 said that now we need to, because of actually by coincidence we had the COVID coming in, we had actually now to put most of our services on ICT, and this therefore entails that people, as my colleagues have rightly said, are the weakest link in information security, and therefore this is our commanded for us to check out on the staff that they are aware on the security challenges that are there, so that we have to train, and we have had some security awareness on the entire government staff. We had that the national the NC3 National Computing Center, and we got all the officers actually trained on made aware on the security aspect of the services that the government provides, and therefore the people we have in government, I can surely tell you that they are competent, they are up to the task. But again, we can't just rely on them alone. We have to now cascade this to the actual users in government, looking at it that the ICT people in government are very, very, they're not that many. I mean, we have maybe around 400 in the whole government. So this one is not enough. And therefore, as the commission, one of our mandate is to hire staff. We have advertised some positions for ICT. In fact, the process is on. And we are also, President has given us another go-ahead to employ more than around 200 again. We are adding on what we are processing right now, so that we train these people, because as you see, the business model for information security entails, as you have rightly said, the people, the process, and the technologies. So if we don't care of the people as the weakest link in information security, then we will lose it. We can have the best infrastructure, as Irode says, the best processes, but then when you don't have the people who are aware of these processes, then we lose it. So the Public Service Commission is coming up on that, and we have started also in the commission here by training our IT staff on and also actually the staff on the security aspects, and also how these services can be accessed digitally. We realize that as commanded of actually the recruitment, we have had our recruitment being done virtually. Now, in the commission, since the start of COVID, we have done the 5,800 UHC staff hiring on virtually, actually, through WebEx. And we have done this successfully. Therefore, we are also riding on this we need more staff to even roll out to our counties, riding on the infrastructure set up in government by ICT Authority, the constituency innovation hubs, where we need to collaborate with them, and also have more staff to manage our county innovation hubs to run these services of recruitment. So therefore, as we come into more mandate of the commission and the entire public service, we shall still continue to engage and see how we can enable the security and the trust in our services as a government. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you so much for that. It's interesting knowing that we're actually hiring people online, and while 400 for the whole government might look a little bit bleak, it's encouraging that you're saying that we're looking at hiring and that this has already been approved to hire more professionals in the ICT space. That's quite encouraging. Thank you so much, Bernard. Now, when you're talking about, now we have looked at infrastructure, we talked about accessibility, we've talked about what are some of these threats that we're looking at, and we're looking at also the people behind operating these services. Now, when I'm going to offer, I want to access government, e-government or government services online, where am I going? The interface that I'm seeing, where am I going? Am I going .com, .net, .me, so many others? So Joel, hi Joel, I hope we've not lost you.
I'm here.
Hi Joel. Now tell us, what is the role of of KE-CIRT in this whole digital transformation in moving Kenya from where we are to a digital economy? What is the role of KE-CIRT, and are we really taking advantage of this role? How much are we utilizing this, and what do we need to leverage on moving forward to ensure that we are really a digitally transformed nation, where our pride as Kenyans precedes us on the internet?
Thank you, Jane. That's a very loaded question. As KE-CIRT, our primary mandate is to manage the .ke registry. And with that, then we have extensions that we have created to ensure that whether it is government, whether it is public sector, have then domains that speak to the organization. So just in a nutshell, just to give a quick example. For example, Communications Authority, your abbreviation is CA. So what a domain does, it identifies the organization, which is CA, then it gives you an extension. In your case, because you're a government entity, then you're recommended to use .go, and .go stands for government. So the way the domain name flow is ca.go.ke. Now there are other extensions, .co.ke, which is for companies, there's .ac, which is for universities, and many others. So we have about 9 different extensions that we've created just to ensure that every person is identified and has a unique identifier on the internet. Now, coming back to your question in terms of now government services, and that's why I gave the example of .go.ke. It's encouraged that every government entity uses .go.ke as its domain. So whatever the name of your organization is, the extension must be .go.ke. And that is one of the ways that we identify this is a government body as opposed to a private entity or an individual. Now, this is done through ICTA, and our colleagues from ICTA are here. So our model is a 3R model, which is the registry, which is me, the registrars, and the registrant. So if I break this down again, KE-CIRT is the registry, ICTA is a registrar. So ICTA has been given the mandate to register all .go extensions on behalf of government bodies. And then the registrant is CA, for example. So if CA want a domain, they will write to ICTA, and ICTA will then register that domain on their behalf. Now, why have we done this? Because we are considered critical infrastructure within the internet space and the gateway to the internet. So we must ensure that what we are providing is secure, it is accessible. So we ensure that the registry is 100% running at any one point. If we had a challenge with the registry today, probably this meeting would not happen. Or you would not be able to get services from the government or even from other providers such as Safaricom and the rest. Now, there's a choice. People make a choice. You can actually, as you said, you can actually go to .com, you can go to .net. There are choices out there. But why are we encouraging .ke? Because one, it's Kenyan. So it's your unique identifier that it's a Kenyan organization or it's a Kenyan government body. Then within that, as KE-CIRT and with our partners such as ICTA, we've then added layers of conversation that we're having, which is one around the security of your domain name. And my partners on this panel have mentioned about security threats. That is one of the key things that we are currently struggling with in terms of how do we ensure that our domain names are secure. So we've taken a mandate of actually training, and we've done that with ICTA and other members, that we actually then training them on security around the domain name space. So I guess my partners who are more enlightened around security will give this, but there's various levels of security. There's security at the domain name space, there's security at the website space, there's security on mobile, as my colleague has talked about. So as we ensure at the domain name section that security is there and everyone can sleep comfortably that any .ke is secure. Now, you then are encouraged then to get other layers of security that allow your specific business or whatever you want to do to grow. Now, for us as KE-CIRT, in terms of e-government and ensuring that this is moving, there are a couple of things we are trying to push. One is we are aware that now most of us operate on Internet Protocol version 4, which is popularly known as IPv4. Which now globally seems to be exhausted. So people are being encouraged to move to IPv6, which is a faster, more secure mode of operation. And again, we want to partner with the various bodies to ensure that we are delivering that. So KE-CIRT's role is pretty much ensuring that first, the gateway to the internet is secure. Then we encourage our partners then to layer up more security features that will allow you, the consumer, to get those services that you need. Thank you, Jane.
Thank you so much, Joel. Thank you so much. Now, you've said something about securing domain names and unique Kenyan identifier. And so I have a question that is to Philip. Philip, I hope you're not experiencing the same challenges that I was. Hi, Philip, you're around.
Hello, yes, I am.
Thank you so much. I can see you have complete accessibility. Now, my question is to Joel has talked about domains, securing our domain names. And I have a question because some time back we had seen some these things about like when you have eCitizen and ecitizen.go.ke. My question is about domain impersonation with relation to the .ke. When we have, how do then Kenyans know which service is what? If I'm going to eCitizen and it's ecitizen.go.ke and I see ecitizen.com or ecitizen.co.ke, how do I navigate that as an end user who's not aware of KE-CIRT and top-level domain? And how then do we safeguard government organizations, even those who are not on the .ke or .go.ke? Then how are we then able to protect the consumer at the end, at the other side of the browser who's looking at ecitizen.com or ecitizen.net rather than ecitizen.go.ke?
Thank you so very much, Jen, and thank you, Tarubia, for the good insights and the discussion that we've been having on DNS security. And as you've clearly alluded, ICTA is a government agency that basically will register these domains on behalf of agencies. And the moment we receive our requests, we actually channel our requests through KE-CIRT, where this is registered and appropriate measures are taken, because we have to ensure who's registering, who's the admin behind the agency, who's accountable, who has the access to the cPanel and the likes. Now, one of our challenges has been, and of course, as they say, technology is only 10% of your security. The people, the processes, and what governance framework are behind is actually what accounts for 90%. You realize not so many people in this country actually know the difference probably from between .go and .com as we do in the techies. Yes. And for example, I'll tell you, if we don't do that awareness, to create this awareness and tell the people the difference, not so many of them will be able to understand. We've had instances where actually a couple of government websites have been either defaced, and you tell someone, well, this is, or even imitation. Some have actually been imitated. Now, if we are in a position to, create awareness through all the multi agencies, whether it's CA, KE-CIRT, ICTA, all these agencies that actually have a responsibility in the digital space will be actually creating an environment where digital adoption of services, m-commerce will greatly be an opportunity for the rest of the country. The biggest challenge has been awareness. People do not know the difference between .go and .com. And as it has been clearly stated by Joel, .go is actually what identifies this agency as a Kenyan. We are not saying we are perfect. You actually even realize that we have government officers and government institutions that still have their Gmail address, their official emails on Gmail. It is a road that we have committed ourselves to check and ensure actually we try and ensure all government agencies adopt and all come part and parcel of .go.ke domain, and we move all this infrastructure to the .go.ke domain, so that these services can be identified as Kenyan services. And this we have done in the last 1 year. I think we have around 80 agencies that are now on .go.ke domain. And we are trying to ensure that we become evangelists of the benefits of this, such that we have that appeal of a national email system, a national domain, such that we are even able to identify ourselves outside there. The same applies to even the services that we're hosting, the e-citizen. How do you identify these services to be a Kenyan service? Through such .go.ke identities. I hope I've been able to address your question, Jen. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Philip. We are moving there. We are not there yet. You're saying we are not there yet, but we are gradually moving there. We are trying to move there, and to have our own identity and also to secure that. Thank you so much, Philip, and yes, thank you so much, Philip, for that, and Joel for the .ke. Now, the person from all the panelists here, the person who really interacts with the consumers day to day, ICTA will put in, the ICT authority will put in the infrastructure and make sure that they're accessible. The Public Service Commission will be catering to the people at the back end, the people who are serving Kenyans there. And so, Martin, I come back to you because I think you're the one dealing directly with consumers through Huduma. Tell us, what has been the greatest challenge when it comes to, we are talking about integrating and digitizing government services, but what has been the greatest challenge that you have experienced in terms from the point of view of the consumer when it comes to digitization of government services? What has been the biggest challenge that consumers are facing as we move towards digitization?
Yeah, thank you, Jane. That's a loaded one. I think it's multifaceted, but I think in our experience, I think, right down to the fundamentals, accessibility is probably one of the key constraints or challenges, both in terms, especially of accessing e-services, both in terms of having, appropriate devices to do so, and also the affordability of the data for many of them. But I think this is something that has increasingly been defrayed in the last few years as this has become, as both of these have become a lot more affordable. I think more broadly speaking, because at the end of the day, want to achieve value for the citizen. You want the citizen to gain as much value from interacting with government. Is to really bring on board digital services, to have a Marshall Plan to actually digitize as many or digitalize as many in-demand citizen services as possible. And this is all it's obviously a multi-stakeholder initiative. Requires quite a bit of work with the owners of the service, the different ministries, departments, and agencies that own these services, being able to get the resourcing in terms of skills and funds to automate or digitize their services, and then for us, because we are essentially a platform and a window, a front desk for these services, to integrate with the agencies, the different agencies, in a secure manner. So I think that's what I think the citizens want, because when you think, when you look at the cost to serve or cost of accessing services, a walk-in customer, which has been the main channel for Huduma with the Huduma centers, where that has created great convenience because of getting all these services under one roof. It's much more affordable to access these services online and digital, because it doesn't require you to physically move, minimizing of documents, and all these other cost factors that come in. So as we move towards that journey, and maybe this is differing a bit, Jane, from the question, perhaps this, and it's a very timely conversation to have, if this becomes the main access channel for many government services, some of which have a lot of sensitive information, then we need to ensure that all this happens in a secure manner, and that citizens are also made aware of what are likely threats and what a threat looks like when you're accessing something online. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Martin, for that. Thank you so much. And when you say that the citizen needs to know what does this threat look like, I think this goes directly to Michael, to Mtime. Hi, Michael. What does this threat look like from the citizen perspective? What are the threats then that they're going to be facing with, or they're going to be having to deal with on a day-to-day basis as we move more government services online? What are these threats that the citizen needs to be ready? Please unpack that for us.
Thanks, Jen. So the threats are multiple. One of the obvious ones is phishing attacks that lure the citizen to put their credentials in another site. We saw that for when somebody created a website that was offering online visas, and it wasn't by the government. We've also seen quite a bit of Trojans that download malware and steal credentials. So we've seen that on phones, we've seen that on Windows. And then, of course, there's nation-state-backed actors, like the Russian APT-39.
Michael, let me. You've said something. You've talked about the Trojans, the Trojans that are downloading malware and stealing credentials, and we've seen the migration of malware to the mobile arena, the mobile phones that we're using on a day-to-day basis. That we are seeing an increase in movement of malware to the mobile arena, and people downloading even from fake iStores, app stores, and the rest. Now, to the consumer and to the end user who's not tech savvy, how do they safeguard themselves from this? How do they differentiate between this is a real app, or this is a real service and this is not that one? So how do we protect them from this? That you're saying they're out to steal credentials, but then how do we protect consumers? Because we have a really high penetration of smartphone use in Kenya, and
yes.
Talking about services being delivered digitally, and most people are accessing these services on their mobile devices. So how can we safeguard them? What can we do about this?
I mean, there's technology out there that's able to do that for you. It's fairly inexpensive. It will look at applications to see what they actually do. If you connect to a Wi-Fi, it will look to make sure it's not a man-in-the-middle attack. It will look at your messages regardless of whether they come in as an SMS or WhatsApp or Telegram, and actually look at the link to verify that it's genuine. So this technology for the consumers, like we have a product called Zone Alarm, and it's a few dollars a year.
Okay, thank you, Michael. When we are still on the topic of this, I'll go back to Philip. Philip, hi, Philip. Sorry, I'm going to put you on the spot here. We have been seeing, like, for example, yesterday when we had we went yesterday about Safaricom and some those links that come, those phishing links that come. And some time back when we started the COVID fund, the government started the COVID fund. We see immediately these links and these sites popping up that mimic the real sites. So I think this question is between Philip and Joel. And I'll start with Philip. What are we doing to safeguard government services when we have people who are quickly impersonating real domains, or just tracking a little bit with the real domain that citizens are not able to know what's the difference between this and what is the difference between this? What are we doing this? Because then we lose the most essential element of safeguarding government services, which is trust. Because if I'm not sure whether this is the real link or it's this one, then how am I sure? How do I want to go in and input my details and access services on these sites? Philip.
Thank you, Jen. I think, as I had said earlier, the issue of DNS is really critical, and we are taking it with the most, effort it deserves. And perhaps just to be able to maybe list some of the efforts that are being done. One is being able to identify who the admins of these websites are. And I'm glad to note that some of our partners, actually, whom we work with are in this forum. We've set up, a way in which you can be able to identify the various webmasters who work on these government websites. Number two, there is a very big, a great effort that we're working on with online identity. CA is one of our partners that we are working on this. And you realize, of course, even for websites, you would not want to, to classify all websites at the same level. There are websites that really, conduct e-commerce and digital services to wananchi, would really classify those as critical. And therefore, the traffic that passes through these websites needs to be secured. Even the ownership, the identity of the individuals who interact with these websites needs to be secured. So there is an effort and initiative we are working on digital identity, basically the national public key infrastructure, which will provide an identity for people interacting with these websites, and then also for digital signatures of people who are going to be transacting on these websites. That is in addition to basically securing the DNS of various government agencies, the domains, and then of course, the most important part, which requires, both stakeholder effort, which is awareness. Awareness is very key. It is not easy for someone, even with a trained eye, to identify a phishing site, to identify a site that is basically mimicking the real site. So these are some of the things that we need to put in place, not only as ICTA, but as an intergovernmental stakeholder agency, where we are able to have what I would call a platform that this awareness is able to reach all sectors, be it educational sectors, private sector, public sector, and even the, other various industries. Because as we move towards digitization, we want to ensure that we have trust. We have trust in our systems. We are able to consistently offer these services in such a way that if I'm to conduct business today, I will be assured that even if I come to that website tomorrow, the business that I'm conducting on it will still be available. And that brings in the aspect of trust, resilience, and assurance of government services to the greater citizenry. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Philip. Thank you so much for that. You've talked about some very important things. You talked about trust, you talked about the NPKI, and we are going to unpack that shortly, what the NPKI does, and then how do we use that to safeguard. My next question goes to Bernard. Bernard, when you look at all these things that are being done, it's very important for organizations to have cybersecurity policies so that we're able to, with the increased data and the increased personal information and details that we're having about our customers, who from now the government is our citizens, then do we have, is there an obligation for government bodies to have cybersecurity policies? I think this is more relevant to ICT Authority, Philip, but for PSC, I'll ask this question. How these policies, do they trickle down to the user, to the staff? Do staff have certain policies? Do they have certain guidelines in the policy that direct their actions? What I have in mind is the issue of using personal emails to access official communication. So are we rolling out policies in place to have these ethics and these cyber ethics and these cyber hygiene practices amongst government workers? Bernard, please tell us.
Thank you, Jen, and thank you again for giving me another opportunity. Yes, Jen, what we have is that we can say that, you see, this all boils down to human factors. If people do not understand how to use technology, do not embrace maybe technology, or the will not to follow pertinent policies, then we'll have a serious security problems that can evolve. So we'll have such internal threats like data leakage, maybe data theft, or misuse of data, which can occur in this dynamic interconnection. So what we have is that the Ministry of ICT developed an ICT policy and standards that guide the entire public service, in that it trickles down from the Ministry of ICT in perspective, and then for us to cascade down to all the ministries and agencies of governments. So these policies are there, but what we want to emphasize here is that these human factors may arise maybe because of experience level, differing generational perspectives, and therefore what we say that these are human factors are very critical components in maintaining the balance of security. So these policies, however, they are there. We as government encourage, and Irode will bear me witness again, that we use official emails to do this so that we can deter this phishing spams. And that does not mean that official government does not have that. We also, as government, responsible to make sure that we secure our emails so that people will have to follow these policies to the letter, so that we will not have our email maybe being hacked or our websites being brought down as such. And therefore, we, as a commission, are aware of that, and we have developed security policies right now in the Public Service Commission. We have a compact ICT security policy that cautions us from all these issues of not using personal emails. At the commission, actually, nobody uses personal emails. It's an offense to use we have official email, and we communicate through official emails. Whether we write to the other ministries or other government agencies, we use official email. Personal emails will only be used for personal stuff, and we will not share that with the official government transactions. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Bernard, for that. Thank you for that. When you're talking about that people to use official emails and people to use the proper official emails and not use personal as a way of safeguarding that, I thought of a question to Martin. Hi, Martin. And I thought about how digitization takes away the need for brokers, the middlemen in provision of government services. And I thought, from your experience integration of services as Huduma, what are the key what are they called? The key points or the key safeguards that digitization has for the Kenyan public? You've talked about cost effectiveness and the convenience. You said I don't have to come all the way from Nyeri to get my service, that I can just go online and get that service, that it is convenient and it is affordable. So when it comes to the issues of corruption eradication and removing middlemen from whatever, removing the middleman from the transaction, what has been the experience for Huduma? Have we seen an increased uptake of services, of online government services, or has there been too many, bringing a lot of challenges so that we don't access that?
Yeah, thank you, Jane. So overall, probably as just a general sort of verdict of what the impact that this has had. Maybe I can actually take it from two perspectives. One being a bit historical. With regard to the intermediaries and the brokers, that introduced a moral hazard in accessing of services, corruption and so on, and opportunities to make and making the access to services very inefficient. There was a massive impact in terms of reducing that when we when the Huduma centers were commissioned, because they were very public and very publicly visible and open, offering services designed in a very transparent manner. So there was of course a very concerted sensitization campaign to citizens to make them realize that these services were their services and accessible to them at at no cost. So that already had an immediate impact, even while those services were walk-in services. Now that, I think, is multiplied many times over when you move to the digital space, because you're really empowering the consumer of that service, because they're able to access the services at their own convenience and through their own initiation and within their own control. So I think this holds great promise for furthering those gains and reducing those challenges. Then I think for us to continue that journey, I think we'll need a lot of collaboration with the agencies that own these services, to bring many of them on as many the services online as possible. And I mean, we've of course witnessed tremendous gains from that through eCitizen. And so I think it's a journey. It's a journey, but the power of digital is that empowerment that it gives the end user. But of course, as you know, as we've had through these interactions this morning, that also comes with its own risks and threats, and which is, I think, the thing we'll need to focus on now, making sure that our citizens are empowered, they're also able to access these services in a safe manner, and yes, and so as to preserve the trust, as you said, is a key pillar for interactive government.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Now, you've talked about trust and you talked about empowering the citizens for them to be able to access these services conveniently, eradicating corruption and those middlemen, but mostly trust. Now, we ran an online poll. We started an online poll yesterday, and our question was, do you feel that e-government services are efficient, transparent, and secure? And so far, as of now, 4.7% of Kenyans are saying, yeah, they are secure. They feel that these are secure. Now, no, 43.2% do not feel that these are secure, and 22% are not sure. Now, my question goes to Musime. Michael, why are we seeing people saying that only 34% are saying yes, these are secure? Why is there that feeling that e-government services are not secure? And what can we then do to make these services secure?
I think two things. One of them is somebody spoke about PKI. So you use certificates to then authenticate the website that people connect to and raise awareness so they understand the difference between a certificate with an HTTPS certificate and a site and one without. The other, which I wanted to mention earlier, is that there are a few companies that offer a service to actually actively look for lookalike domains and take them down. So if government employs such services, I think it will do a lot to boost the confidence in the sites that citizens access.
Thank you, Michael. Joel, hi, Joel. I hope you're still with us.
Yes, yes.
How, in your opinion, now we have 35% are saying yes, no 43%, and 22% are not sure. How do you think that having a .ke domain name would maybe enhance this feeling of security and trust in government services?
Yes, to a large extent, yes. One of the things that I would always encourage, and especially all government services, is ensuring that all of them are on .ke first. Then let us come together, as Philip has said, to make a bit of noise of the fact that these services are hosted here, and this is how they look like. I think I might be wrong. A couple of years ago, there was also a drive towards sort of standardizing the branding of government websites. So there's a look and feel that you can go to and feel that this looks like a government site, because a lot of people mirror government sites, but there are certain nuances that you can actually put in that would allow you to then look like, so for lack of a better word, like a government body. We're not stifling creativity, but at the same time, we also want a unique identity that this is a government service or this is a government site. The other thing, obviously, around domain names is authentication. As Josimia said, I'm a bit scared about his second comment of takedown. That is a very emotive conversation that we face every day, where people may say, "Why are you taking down my domain?" But if, and this has something that, and I will give a lot of credit to the KE-CIRT, that if there's a need to analyze a domain name, and there's a reason as to why this may be harmful to the general public, there has been a very collaborative effort between us, them, and the various law agencies to ensure that we are safeguarding the citizenry, because that is our job. So if there is that need for a takedown, then there are processes we go through to do that. But for me, first and foremost would be ensuring that the domain name is clear, that it's a go.ke, because again, for you to register such, you must go through ICTA. You cannot do it. So that string is restricted. So if someone else is trying to do that, then it would be very difficult for them to do it. So I believe we can increase the 34%. I'm sure we can, and it's work in progress. And I think Philip had alluded to a lot of those comments of what some of the things that they're trying to do to ensure that security and trust of services is actually understood. So the last thing, maybe just to comment here, is a bit more of multi-stakeholder conversations, ensuring that we are all speaking from one page, that this is the way government operates, this is how our services are brought to you, and this is how we expect you to also consume our services. I think those would be the areas I would look at, just to move this percentage a bit higher.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Joel. And I like what you're talking about, multi-stakeholder conversation, because it does not end at one place. We need all these other, we need to collaborate. We need ICT authority, we need the communications authority, we need all these other people, we need the Public Service Commission to come on board. And now, Bernard, I'll come back to you, the Public Service Commission. And you talked about, you gave us a number and you gave us 400, and you said you have 400 ICT officers. Now, as we envision a digitally transformed nation, right, where you're offering government services digitally, and the need to secure these services. You said we currently have 400, and you're looking at hiring and building the capacity of this. Now, how then do we attract and retain a competent and professional cybersecurity workforce within government? How do we do this? Because it's a very dynamic and very competitive area. How then do we attract more of these professionals to work in government, and how do we retain this?
Thank you, Jen, for that information. Yes, as we said, let me just add on before I do that. As a Public Service Commission, we also put in place mechanisms so that the citizens can have trust in us, and this involves also in our strategic plan for 2019-2024. We have put structures in place, and we have engaged stakeholders. One is that we have developed a contact center so that we can get feedback mechanisms from our customers, clients, and also we are developing a service delivery standards so that we can review them and also share with our stakeholders. And also we are also reviewing the service delivery charters for us. So in terms of this ICT personnel, and as I said earlier and alluded, that it's about training and train to this our ICT officers, because we realize that as much as we are 400, we have really tried to run government as ICT. And as I said, we have gotten what we train, and we still having training, as of course involves money in government. We have engaged the Ministry of ICT and Treasury, that these ICT officers, as much as they have skills, we need to enhance them, always training, and also as multifaceted approach to our organization like Checkpoint, Sophos, and Fortinet, to have this security component having impacted in this our officers. So one of the things really is to train our officers, because we need to retain them. Of course, we have options where people have been trained, gotten very high skills, and then they have left government. So we have really developed also in our Public Service Commission regulations 2017 that they need actually to work for government once we have given them the best training for 3 years before they leave government for greener pastures. But again, you realize that the salaries in government are now attractive, and people are actually moving from the private sector. They're all hooping to government. So actually, we have really made our our jobs to be really, really attractive to the entire, even people from private sector are now coming back because they realize that as government, as we train and also retain this, we are still gaining more. So you know that, let me just give you an example that the ICT officers that we advertised, we got, to tell you, we got 8,000 applications for this. That means there's a lot of interest, and you can see even about 2,000 from private sector. So as we do this, we are alive to the fact that we have to give our officers the best training that there is through our partners, and also ensure that we add more. And see, we are moving also from skills based, like papers, like you must have this degree, you must have this training. But if you can deliver our service securely and you can do your job, so we are moving into this. And as we realize, just watch this space in the public service. Thank you, Jane.
Oh, sorry. Thank you so much for that. It's that we are attracting this competent and professional cyber workforce, and we want to retain them by having competitive packages, by training and upskilling them. This is really encouraging. For us to be a cyber ready and cyber resilient nation, people is at the core of which we have to have competent people, we have to have capable people, and we have to have mechanisms of retaining these people. Now, my last question before we go to the comments and questions on the floor goes to Philip. And really, it's not a question. You talked about the NPKI, and I'd like you to just unpack that for us briefly, Philip. What is the NPKI, and then how does it then come to enhance the security and transformation of government services?
Thank you, Jen. I think briefly, I'll just touch on it briefly. It's something that we are working on it. You can hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear you, Philip.
Yeah. I think this is a cross-agency initiative, both from a regulator perspective, which is CA, and then, of course, the government agency, which is ECTA. It is basically an infrastructure to provide digital identity for all what I'd call e-commerce channels. A digital identity basically is a digital certificate that says so and so is who he is, and basically the aspect of non-repudiation, whereby probably you could have a transaction that you have committed yourself, and you later say it's not me. We've been having various cases of this. That is now what is going to be addressed by NPKI, where you have a technology that basically confirms the identity of who we say we are. Perhaps just to give maybe a clear indication of how this works, we've seen, Kenyans are very confident when they import vehicles from, let's say, Japan. You know whom you are paying that money, you know the agency, you are sure that they will deliver you the services. Would want to have a similar industry or a similar environment here in Kenya, where when I say I'm paying a service to a certain vendor X, I know it is vendor X I'm paying. I can be able to demonstrate that I'm the one who committed that transaction, and they can be able to verify that that is actually my identity. Perhaps this will go a long way in not only, unlocking the e-commerce and digital space, but also enabling services like paperless transactions in government ministries, in the court processing, in the land registry, in the digital signing of documents, land titles, land registry. This is basically what we are going to see come to fruition once we have the NPKI services enabled. I think perhaps my colleague here, Mr. Nzano, from CA could chip in and try and expound where I might have, not addressed. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you so much, Philip. Mr. Nzano, I don't know whether he's with us.
Yes, I'm with you, Jen. I think Philip has articulated quite well what the NPKI is all about. And maybe just to add on is that there is a requirement that persons who are running those services of electronic signatures need to license and be accredited by the Communications Authority of Kenya. Maybe that's the only addition I would add. And of course, if you go into our website of ca.go.ke, you will see indeed how we have outlined the requirements of licensing in terms of electronic certification service provisions, so that now we're able to serve Kenyans. Of course, like ICTA now is one of the licensees, and we hope to get more. Thank you so much, Jay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nzano, for that. Thank you so much for that. And Philip, for unpacking the NPKI for us and how it's going to contribute towards securing and transforming government services. There's a comment from Andy. I now go to the questions and the comments that you get on the chat. And there's a comment from Andy Chadwick. Andy, I don't know whether you're able to talk to us. Hi, Andy. Hello, Andy. Hi, how are you? Let me just read what he's saying. In addition to improved awareness, 4 key practical steps we look in the UK to secure public sector services are: 1, protected DNS on government services; 2, the DMARC implementation to prevent a spoofing of government emails; 3, there is web checking, which helps government bodies to have secure websites; and 4, phishing and malware mitigation, the takedown services. And the Chadwick is with the Foreign Commonwealth Development Office. I don't know whether he's able to quickly comment about this. Hi, Andy.
Yeah, hi, Jane. And yeah, thanks for switching my mic on. And thanks for reading out the comments. I think many of the panelists have touched on these subjects throughout, since I put that in the comments. So good to know that people are thinking about these, these measures we can put in place. But, they're the 4 key ones that we implemented in the UK. And I think there's definitely some crossover there and something that we can look at within Kenya. And the takedown service, I understand the the sensitivities around that, but that's done in a very controlled way in the UK with the National Cyber Security Centre, so the equivalent of CA and C3 here. And it's done working very much hand in hand with the ISPs, with the service providers. So, but the key thing is, as everybody's mentioned, it's all about people, processes and technology, but really about the people and the awareness. So I'm glad that that theme is coming through strongly.
Thank you so much, Andy, for joining us and for your comments. Really appreciate. Bernard, I can see Bernard Matthew. Hi, Bernard. Your question is, how far is government on using blockchain technology? And you're saying we can secure our data using blockchain technology, the worldwide ledger. Bernard, are you able to articulate your question and your comment?
Well, thank you, Jen, and I also have my colleagues in government who will assist me, Irode and of course Martin. So what is there is that yes, government is mostly we are doing it using blockchain technology on like the land transactions and also the passport processing. So this is already in place in government, and we are cascading to the wider government. It's not only just we have to start small and go all the entire government services. As we realize that we in the digital economy, the entirety of the sectors that operate using digitally, all government services have to be digital, and therefore as one of the pillars of the digital economy is digital government, and therefore we have no excuse not to use blockchain technology. Therefore, the lands registry right now, and also the passport. Now you can see when we have enhanced how passports are being obtained. Therefore, definitely I'll say so, unless my colleagues Irode and Martin. Martin.
Hi, thanks. Sorry. Yeah, I was just turning my mic off here. No, I think it's been very well. So these emerging technologies like blockchain, I think, really hold great promise. I think it's a long road. I think there are some great recommendations made by the task force on this, and I think probably the only thing I could add is I think once we start having some success stories, or even just one or two really good use cases that are visible, that citizens can appreciate, and most of the players, I think that will now, that will now enable momentum to build around that. Yeah, so encouraging and very pertinent input.
Bernard Matu from Laikipia. Bernard Matu, Laikipia, you're saying, can KPLC use blockchain technology to provide services? I don't know whether you're able to explain.
Well, as I said, and as I alluded to, that we need to obtain the digital government as one of the pillars of the digital economy. Therefore, yes, it's true. KPLC are on that process. I'll not have the facts myself but my colleague there, Mr. Mugo, I know he's working on it. He's been in ICT Authority as Director Shared Services, and I know one of his mission there was to get the blockchain technology, and I know we worked with him on the blockchain document when he was at ICT Authority. So I know, yes, KPLC will soon be going there, or they are already in the process. That's the much I have.
Okay, thank you so much, Bernard. There's a question for Martin. Martin, hi, Martin, are you around? There's a question for you regarding the comfort fee that is charged on eCitizen. I don't know whether this goes to you or it goes to Philip. I think Philip is better placed to answer this. eCitizen is under the ICT Authority. There's a question about the comfort fee, and somebody is asking, can you just expound on what exactly is this comfort fee? Why are we being charged this comfort fee?
Thank you very much, Jen. And well, I don't think I might be in a position to answer that because it's something that I'm not really conversant with. The fee aspect of eCitizen, really, I don't know. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Maybe we will research on that, and then we can update that, or we'll update that on our socials once we have an answer to that.
Yes, now, please, definitely. Thanks.
Yes. So I don't. Anyone with a question? I'm receiving questions, please, that we can channel to the panelists. As I'm waiting for that, let me just recap. So far we've talked about. We were looking at how our government services are they secure? Are they accessible? Yeah, and how are they transforming our lives? That as we have had more services go online, more government services go online, we've had the convenience and affordability that somebody is able to access their services from wherever. So this has made services more convenient. It's made services more affordable, and it's also removed the middlemen from the equation. So some of the points that we've had through today's webinar, we've talked about the need for awareness, that there's need for awareness amongst our various publics, that the people really are the biggest key for us to unlocking security of e-government services. We need to conduct awareness about whether it is about .ke or how do you tell from one service to the other one. We really need to conduct awareness. Then the other issue was about infrastructure and accessibility. The ICT Authority has been leading in this, and they're saying that the infrastructure is there, the accessibility is there, so it makes it easy. So that's a very big step in making e-government services available to all in Kenya. Then we looked at the issue of the cyber workforce, and the Public Service Commission has talked about that while we only have 400 cyber workforce or professionals to deal with ICT security, that there has been an approval, and they received, I think, 8,000 applications, that they are receiving more, and that they are hiring more cyber workforce, and that they are training this and upscaling this, and more. And to add, to add icing on the cake, that they have enhanced the packages in government such that now we are able to attract professional, skilled people to the government sector, and to be able to retain this, because it's very important for us to be able to offer a competitive package for our cyber workforce. So this is a really good, it's a really good milestone in enhancing our national cyber readiness and resilience. Then we've talked about empowerment. We've talked about trust, that they need to have trust in government services. Then we've talked about transparency, that when you have government services going online, then we're able to have transparency, and blockchain comes into this. We have transparency and we have trust in government services. Then we've talked about the need to have multi-stakeholder conversations and collaboration when it comes to securing government services. That is not just for the ICT authority to deal, or the communications authority to deal, or for individual organizations to deal, but there is need for us to come together as all the stakeholders to address this. Then we've looked at the cost of services, that digitization makes the cost of services more affordable and accessible. Then we've looked at integration, and Huduma have talked about that through Huduma we've been able to integrate ICT services and various government services. So we have one-stop shop of service, which makes it convenient convenient and efficient for customers of government services wherever they are. And then we looked at the need for having a top-level .ke top-level domain, and how this enhances the uptake of e-services and also our identity online, which also goes a long way in mitigating against things like impersonation and the rest. So that's just like a wrap-up of the issues that we've addressed today. Now, I see Alvin. Alvin is asking about, is there any update regarding the progress made by the government on e-governance? Alvin, are you with us? Can you kindly expound on your question? Alvin Amuyunzu.
Yes, thank you, Jen. I'm just looking at issues around e-petition and the likes. Could someone explain whether the government is trying to put resources towards this perspective?
Thank you, Alvin. That question, I think, is directed to Philip. Philip Irode. I think that is in your area.
Probably you could repeat the question. Sorry, Jen, I missed it. My apologies.
Alvin, come again.
Thank you, Jen. What I'm asking is there any update regarding the government's progress on e-governance? E-governance is wide, but I'm looking at things to do with e-petitions, how we engage our citizens in the counties, and how we lay that information at the national level. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And perhaps to answer you on that, I'll basically maybe refer to the just released National ICT Policy 2019. You'll find that a lot of those aspects of ICT governance have actually been addressed, and even the roadmap on how this is to be achieved. And one of the outcomes of that policy is actually the digitization strategy, of course, which was just recently receiving what I'd call public participation. So governance is a very strong area in ICT, and I think it has been adequately covered in that document. And perhaps if you could go through it, you realize that most issues related to governance and how this should be addressed have been covered. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip, for that. Alvin, I don't know whether your question has been answered.
Yes, it has been answered, Jen. Thank you so much. Much appreciated.
Okay. I feel like let's have our last, I have a last question to Michael Tumusime. Hi, Michael, you still with us?
Yes, Jen, I am.
Yes, you gave us you painted a picture of what are the cyber threats that are facing, government services, and you talked about phishing and the people being the weakest link. Now, from your experience, and I know Checkpoint operates in various countries, what can we do? What are the practical do your parts, practical things that we can take as we envision to be a digitally transformed nation? We are offering our services online, that Kenyans of all walks of life, be they tech savvy or not, are able to securely access government services wherever they are. What are the actionable things that we can adopt as government to ensure that citizens have access to e-government services and that these are secure?
Well, for the government sites, I think the best approach, there's awareness like we've spoken about, but also certificates. Most browsers now will not let you go to a site that has a fake certificate. So as the NKPI is set out, that would be a very good thing to implement. But then again, some users will still go to a site that says, when there is a warning in the browser. Like I think it was Bruce Schneier that said, users will choose dancing pigs over security any day. And to prove his point, he created a VB script and sent it to a bunch of users and said, click this button to see dancing pigs, but it might harm your computer. And I think 86% clicked the link. So awareness, we can't get away from awareness, but technology helps as well.
Okay. Thank you so much, Michael, for that insight. Awareness, again, I think that's what we're hearing over and over again, awareness. And last 2 weeks ago, when we held the Child Online Protection webinar, and we had the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, this KE-CIRT, and they were talking about that the new curriculum, the competency-based curriculum, actually provides for digital awareness from the word go, that students from grade 4, will be taught digital skills, the knowledge, the values, and the skills to be able to interact in a digital environment. So for those who missed that it's encouraging that our children who are going to be then part of this digitally transformed nation are already being given the skills and the knowledge and the ethics to be able to thrive in this digital environment. And so for us, I think for the rest of us is to keep at awareness, keep at having cyber hygienes and upscaling our cyber hygiene and our cyber ethics so that we're able to thrive in this digital environment. Now, as we wrap up, I'd like to give each of the panelists just 2 minutes to give us their do your part, their last words as we wrap up. How do we, in regards to e-government and a digital economy, what are your last words for each and every one of us out here? I think we'll start with Joel.
I have a question.
Okay.
I have a question.
Oh, okay. Go on.
My question is, how is it that Mwananchi is not protected? Like, for example, there's an advert which was sent like today in the WhatsApp that says Safaricom at 20 anniversary prizes. So it says this, check if your number has been shortlisted by Safaricom to receive the Kenya shilling 4,100 as part of their 20th anniversary prize giveaway program. So you can see how is Mwananchi going to be protected in such a people like this sending this advert in the this WhatsApp group, trying to lure people in some dubious things like this. How are they going to be protected? And the second question is, it goes to the immigration. Like, for example, when you apply your passport and once you get those details, give them the details, and then you forgot to print the receipt for the payment. So when you go to immigration, then you are being asked to produce that receipt of the payment. And if you don't have, they'll tell you you have to go back and bring that receipt. And you'll find that it's hard for you when you go back to the cyber cafe where you applied your application. They are unable to print for you that receipt. So how is it the immigration? Because if you have already paid the money And we need at least so that it can reflect to their system, so that if you go there, even you don't have that printed receipt, they can at least upload for you that receipt.
Thank you so much, Mohammed. Thank you so much. That's a very good, those are two very good questions about Safaricom at 20 and about immigration. We'll start with the question on immigration. Martin, hi Martin, I hope you're still with us.
Yes, Chair, I am.
Are you able to address his question about immigration?
Yeah, probably partially. Well, I mean, the service is owned by immigration, and we as Uduma are a platform that provide services on behalf of other agencies. Again, it's a journey in getting to the ideal state that we'd all like. So I think this is useful feedback. It's something that we can certainly engage with them on to see how maybe through integration we can cure that challenge so that citizens get a more end-to-end sort of one-stop service and only have to they only have to submit the key information once, and then it's up to us as government to be able to then figure out how to make it as convenient as possible for citizens. So that's useful feedback, yeah, that we can take on board on behalf of immigration. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So they need to enhance that integration so that it's not known to the end user, right? Yeah. And Martin, before you go, there's a comment here about from Matu Laikipia. He says, instead of Huduma number, why can the government invest in blockchain? We need to move with secure technology. So I think with regards to the issue of blockchain and provision of services, kindly comment on that.
Yeah, that's I think with regard to Huduma number, because I think that's where I think that's the sort of the anchor for this. I'll probably wish to defer to the, we've had a Data Privacy Act enacted a couple of years ago, and I think a data commissioner has been nominated for us. Substantive role, and I think this is one of the things that that office of the data commissioner will have on their plate, to look at. So I would just like to defer that at least, to that ongoing and developing outcomes, so that I don't preempt that development, which is already underway. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But with regards to blockchain, is there a move? Are there plans to move to blockchain as one of the ways of enhancing service delivery and securing the data that we're collecting from?
Yeah, this was as Bernard had said. I think it was one of the very strong recommendations from the task force, to leverage blockchain, especially for identity management and secure document workflow and exchange. So I believe this is something that's in the pipeline, especially with the owners of many of these services, the actual government agencies and line ministries. For instance, like lands or the civil registration with birth certificates, the national registration bureau. I'm sure this is something they have taken on board, and we as Huduma providing that platform to then enable them deliver that service to citizens, that last mile. We'll be very eager to support in that, in enabling of that for end user citizen services. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mohammed. Thank you so much. With regard to the question about the message of Safaricom at 20, I think this question I will I'll give to Mr. Joseph Nzano, the Deputy Head of the National KE-CIRT, to just respond to this. Mr. Nzano, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Yes. Mohammed had raised the question about the messages that you are seeing being forwarded on social media platforms, on WhatsApp and on messaging about you click on this and you get an award from Safaricom.
Yeah, okay. So unfortunate thing is, as much as we continue to have various services, be it e-government services or services from private service providers like Safaricom, among other service providers, we also get some scrupulous people who find an opportunity of swindling Kenyans' money in a manner which is not good, which is fraudulent. And indeed, we just need to be more careful and to practice a lot of due diligence. Whenever we see such messages, we never should be in a hurry to click on the links or whatever that gift or present is. In most cases, you will find that whenever you follow such links and you click on them, try to study the URL link that is appearing on your browser. In most cases, you will find that the URL link that is appearing on your browser does not relate at all to the organization which is intended to purportedly be providing those services. So some of these are just fraudsters who are trying to look for ways of making quick money. Unfortunately, sometimes they do get away with it. But as users, we also need to be more diligent and more careful whenever we are coming across such links or such messages. Try to practice a bit of due diligence. There's no harm in calling. Most of the helplines or the customer service lines of these networks are free and to call, and there's no harm calling that number and finding out I've received such a message. Is it genuine? Is it true? And able to confirm with them. And secondly, you can go to the next level, as I've said earlier, of just doing some bit of due diligence before you indulge in sending money or before you are conned of your monies. So it's, as services are increasing, as e-services keep on growing, indeed the other side of the coin is that there are more vulnerabilities, there are more in fact, at the time of COVID, unfortunately, when most people are working from home, some become too idle, and now they find another opportunities of trying to see if they can make some money here and there online. So it's quite a situation, but indeed the national KE-CIRT, among other agencies of law enforcement and within government, are definitely on top of things in ensuring that whenever such incidences are reported, we take all the necessary actions in liaison with other national cybersecurity entities into mitigating the same. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you so much, Nzano. Thank you so much for that feedback. And in fact, people can then report these and other cyber incidents to the National KE-CIRT through incidents@kecert.go.ke. We'll share our emails, and they can also do the same. They can report through our social media pages. Now, there is a last question before we wrap up with the panelists, and the question is, how are the citizens or the public, including those living with disabilities, empowered to access government digital services? And this question, I think, goes to Philip Roger from ICT Authority. Hi, Philip.
Hi, Jen. Thank you. How are citizens and public empowered to access government digital services? I think there is a strong urge from the government to ensure that we are actually able to digitize most, if not all, the services. And I think this has been the agenda even before the current, inclusion of these items in the sensitive issue of BBI, where it has actually been, lauded as one of the ways of addressing maybe corruption. And we agree that digitization of services is one way of actually empowering even the normal mwananchi down there. You can see the impact of what monetization of, what monetization of services like M-Pesa has brought to the normal mwananchi. We have people who never had access to our banking services who can now be able to even save on their phones. This is the, this is the feeling that we want to be able to ensure someone in, let's say, in the most remote part of this country is able to do. If you are applying for your license, you are applying for your national ID. Once this is brought online, you can actually be able to apply. You do not need to go to a chief. You do not go to an assistant chief who's going to ask for something from you, because you are actually empowered to do this digitally from your Kabambe SIM card phone or from your smartphone. And not only does it, ensure that these services, the turnaround of these services is faster, but also it empowers people to be able to look for income generating initiatives. So I believe there is an aspect of where people with disabilities, if we look at one of our procurement program, which is in the ministry, the procurement framework, you find that we are actually now including machines and systems which have can enable people with disabilities to be able to be provided for with machines that can enable them dictate, so that they are able to actually deliver these services to the normal mwananchi. So I believe we've taken into consideration all aspects of people with disabilities, and this is going to be part and parcel of the digital.
Thank you, Philip, for that. Thank you. I hope Michael. Thank you, Philip, for that. Michael Kahindi, I hope Philip has been able to answer your question. Yes. Now, we go to, as we wrap up, I'd like to give 2 minutes to each of our panelists to just give us their last words, their last words with regard to this topic, and what are the key takeaways that they would like us as the audience and as a citizen out here to remember with protection of e-government services. And again, we'll start with Joel. Joel, I don't know why today I'm favoring you. Please, we'll start with you.
Jane, thank you. I guess because I'm the gateway to the internet, I have to go fast. Then I think my final parting shot is in two strands. One, obviously, as and to the audience, there are many things that happen behind the scenes that people may not know. So there are certain aspects around enforcing of standards and policies within government, ensuring that we are securing our websites and ensuring that we are giving the right service. There are certain aspects we're looking at in terms of sensitization, which is key for us, and even development of cybersecurity and ICT policies. So those are happening. And I guess with time, then you see them coming out into the fold. But for me, in terms of what Jenny said about doing our part, is one, secure your own online presence. Ensure that you have an online presence that is secure. It speaks to who you are. It speaks to what you do. If it's your website, ensure it's secure. I know there's a lot of conversation around security certificates that people don't want to purchase, or they think that it's expensive. Maybe expensive, but it's key. It is something that I would encourage all of you to have. Ensure that your website is safe and people are trading with the right platform. Again, train in your teams, in your offices. Talk about security as and when possible. Ensure that is one of the things that is always an agenda point, because it is the backbone of sensitization. It is what we've been saying today. There is a human element that must always be driven. So as much as possible, be able to train. There are opportunities, as Jane and Mr. Nzano has talked about, where you can seek information. There's a national KE-CIRT. If you have a challenge, right, ask a question. I have seen something happening. Is this right? Is this wrong? Andy mentioned in his chat about website checks. Check the websites that you're hitting. Are they the right place? Is that the right platform? There's been some conversation around what we saw on Safaricom and all these things. Always interrogate what you see on WhatsApp. Once you get a forward or an email, interrogate it first before you click that link. There's a lot of this happening. It happens every single day. People want our data. People want our information. But last but not least, secure your online identity. And the only way to secure your online identity is start with a .ke. So get your .ke today and secure your online identity. Thank you very much, Jane, and the CA team for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Joel. Thank you so much. That's quite a parting shot. Thank you so much for that. I'd like to ask Bernard Wekesa from the Public Service Commission to give us also your parting shot.
Thank you, Jen, and thank you, Joel, for that. Joel has wrapped up most of what we wanted to say. As government, as he said, there's a lot going on in the background that you may not know. Joel has articulated them very well. But again, I don't want to repeat what he has said, is that the Public Service Commission decided after during the start of the COVID that all adverts to the commission will be online. And therefore, we are not receiving any manual applications for jobs at Public Service Commission. And that rules out the fake adverts that come into the WhatsApp groups that used to happen a long time ago. So we are encouraging that, as Joel rightly said, user awareness is key point, because our people are the weakest link to security. And therefore, as he said, let's also train and sensitize our people on this. Two is that we have the contact center in government at the Public Service Commission, where we build trust, and therefore any issues can be articulated very well for the entire government, not just Public Service Commission, on services to be offered. So we have a contact center here that a citizen can call and confirm certain things before they can even forward or do any other thing that they will need. And also we need to say that as government, now we are, of course, adverts all online, and also our interviews are all online. And Erode has aptly put it that we have the constituency innovation hubs in most sub-counties. I think 186. Erode, I'm not right. Maybe I might be saying that maybe they've done more than that. But putting mechanism, the public will go to those constituencies to conduct their interviews from there, the public. So, and we are also working on securing that what we are doing is secure enough and trusted by our people, so that we are just a transparent government and to drive the digital. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you so much, Patricia. So that's very important for people to know that that hirings and more of these services are being done online, and that they can try. So much for that. Okay, as you wait for Philip, maybe Michael Tumusime to check on.
Thank you, Jen, and the CET for the opportunity. My parting shot will be two things. One, a suggestion, and one, a question to you. I'll start with the question. Do you have any plans to have technology being enforced by a compulsion at the ISP? Because messages like Mohammed spoke about can be weeded out if we have technology at the ISP.
Okay. Yes, Michael?
Yeah, I'm saying technology can help block phishing emails at the ISP stage. if CA can mandate them to do it. Do you have any plans around that?
I'm not able to answer your question right now, but we can definitely look at that and get back to you.
Thank you. Then second thing is 80% of the workforce is now remote. So with mobile devices, with unmanaged devices, and with IoT devices, the home network is now part of the office network. So I'd implore everybody to figure out how to secure the unmanaged devices at the home, especially mobile and IoT. Thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Michael, for that. That is very important, that our home network is not part of our work network, and we need to secure that. I'll go to Philip. Hi, Philip.
Yeah, hi, Jen. Hi.
Yes.
Yeah, I think for me, first of all, I'd really want to thank CA and all the other participants, as well as stakeholders who've been involved in this session or this particular webinar. It's a pleasure. Secondly, it will be my parting shots as an authority. We realize that, of course, one of the impediments on the basically actualization of cybersecurity initiative is a lack of what I would call an overarching strategic document, basically from a national perspective, which is the National Cybersecurity Strategy. I think this is something that is currently being worked on, and you realize most of the efforts that we are trying to implement should be supported from the national ICT policy as well as the cybersecurity strategy. Secondly, most important is the need for what I would call joint collaboration of all stakeholders and agencies. This is really important. Cybersecurity is wide. It's extremely wide, and there is no single agency actually that can say that they're handling cybersecurity in this country. It requires what I call multi-stakeholder engagement so that we can be able to tackle all these areas conclusively. And actually, you can't even do it conclusively. You could basically be probably doing what I'd call improvement. Number three is collaboration. We do not only need our internal collaboration, but you also need what I'll call international collaboration, because cyber is basically something that, as the word comes, it's in the cyberspace. So the aspect of digitization has basically blurred the issue of national boundaries. So we also need to bring in the aspect of our other development partners, other agencies that we relate to, so that we know if it's China or it's whoever or it's Korea that has this hostile traffic or hostile IPs, we are able to address those issues from our relative collaboration with those other countries and those agencies in those countries. Number four, it's joint capacity building, very, very important. Not only is awareness important, as it has been alluded to and articulated by my colleagues, but it's really, really important. We need to have joint capacity building programs where we are able to address issues of cybersecurity comprehensively across all the MDAs. And lastly, let's take cyber as our own personal responsibility. We need to practice it ourselves so that we can demonstrate to the people who are not in the field that this is a very important part and parcel of ICT practice. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Philip. Those are really very important and really very key take homes. Thank you so much for that. Now, Martin Mirero, the face, the one interacting with the consumers on a day-to-day basis. Please take us home.
Yeah, thanks, Jen. So first off, really grateful for this opportunity. Really commendable effort here for organizing this forum. I think this is a testament to your commitment to to drive in the education agenda too, and the collaboration with stakeholders, and so it's yeah, just reiterating gratitude for that, and would like to encourage more and more of this forum, because we get to exchange some great ideas, and also get some awareness out there with to all of us participants. So not to belabor, I think what my colleagues have said, I think they've really captured it well, but yeah, just to really emphasize the role of education. And I think in a two-faceted approach, both the end users and practitioners. I think this is a moving target. Security is a moving target, and so this needs to be inculcated in the culture at the organizational level, and in the public, to just have the orientation of a learning orientation. There's always something new to be aware about. But on that tactical side too, there's nothing. There's also an opportunity to leverage technology. I think technology has witnessed tremendous advancement in the last few years, especially with emerging things like artificial intelligence. There are tools out there that are accessible, that are able to somewhat mitigate the education gap in citizens. Be able to at least be like a trusted counterpart for many citizens or users accessing digital services. Then finally, on the strategic side, I think it's not said enough. The milestone we really have achieved in enacting Data Protection Act, that's really progressive, and I think this holds great promise on having a sustainable, structured way of addressing privacy and data protection issues, especially now with the nomination of a data commissioner. So I think that's something great from the strategic side. To further enhance what Philip talked about in the national cybersecurity strategy. I think these are things that will really are very encouraging to see, and I'm hoping that we can have other fora like this to perhaps discuss some of those other things. Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Martin, for that. I really appreciate. I think the national cybersecurity strategy is up for review this year or any time from now. So it will be a very good opportunity for us to, come together as a various stakeholders. We've talked about this again and again during today's forum, that the need for multi-stakeholder approach towards cybersecurity. And so even as we have this task ahead of us to review this, it will be important for us again to come together and be alive to all these challenges and all these issues that we have discussed today. I'd like to thank all of you for participating and for staying with us all through, and for your very good comments and questions and the feedback on our various platforms. Thank you so very much. Please keep following the National KE-CIRT and at CA Kenya for more information about this and other events that we have. And for anyone who might have questions or a follow-up from the events and from the discussions of today, please feel free to reach out to us. We're going to provide an email where you can send us your question or your query, and we'll get back to us. We'll get back to you. Thank you so much, everybody. We appreciate, and have a lovely day. Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so very much.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.